and good morning, Thailand. Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. And welcome to Abel from Find Your Voice Asia. Thanks, Abel.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Thailand.
And great to have you with us. We've got a guest online who we'll introduce in just a moment. Just to go through the COVID figures this morning, 6,519 infections and 54 COVID-related deaths. Cue the coffee machine. 55 of those cases have come from Thai prisons. Now that is actually the highest number of daily infections ever announced in Thailand,
Right.
except for the May the 17th total when there was 9,000 plus people. But that date was when they had that massive amount of people announced from the Thai prisons.
Right. This is still relatively low compared to the world numbers, I think.
Yes, still low, and the Thai government seem very committed to managing the situation. They're not going to close down Bangkok. They're trying to keep things open with restrictions, wearing masks, social distancing, and trying to manage their way through this.
Exactly.
So that's the COVID situation. Let's now have a quick introduction to our guest today. It's James McManaman. He's the president of Scale International for Koh Samui and the general manager of Poppy's Resort. And it's good morning, Samui.
Good morning, James.
Good morning, Tim and Abel. Great to be with you from Koh Samui.
And James, well done on the shirt. Not quite up to scratch, but a very good attempt.
I like your house background. Very nice house you have there.
Thank you. It's Poppy's.
So, look, let's start with James and have a talk about what's the vibe like in Samui at the moment. What's the feeling? You've got an opening of the island, or the three Gulf Islands, Koh Phangan and Koh Tao included, on, well, what is it, 8 days from now. So July the 15th, Samui open. What's the expectation?
Well, I got to tell you both, we're so excited. There's been an amazing amount of unity here on the island. You know, we're smaller than Phuket, but we've certainly been, learning and working with the Phuket folks to understand what they've done well and how we can do the same. And we've got 71% vaccinated on the island. Everyone is extremely excited, and we're just ready to go.
And James, I wanted to ask you, in Phuket anyways, many people have left. I mean, many staff from the hospitality have left. What about in Samui? I mean, are you experiencing, obviously you're in the hospitality industry, are there issues with lack of staff?
Very important question, and everyone's focusing on it. Many people have gone back to their villages. Mm-hmm. Some have started new little businesses on their own, whether it's a coffee shop or baking banana bread. But we do feel that a number of them will come back, and that we'll be able to find enough people as we graduate. It'll be a graduated opening, mm-hmm. and we do feel we'll be able to restaff accordingly.
James, plenty of people online, and good morning to 3D Ping, Dirty Old Man's there again. Andy, we've got Smoke from 7 Officers, Paul, Brad. Good morning to all our viewers from around the world. A lot of people in America, and in fact we've got a question from one American, Dirty Old Man.
Yes, he seemed to be a regular on here, and I have answered a few of his questions. So I just wanted to remind all the people online, if you have a question, please put question in caps before your question so that we can find it easier, okay? So this is a question from Dirty Old Man. According to Becker's Hospital, 157 million Americans have been vaccinated. Per Reuters, 11 million Thais have been vaccinated. Why the big difference?
Well, I think that's a pretty easy one. Obviously, America had a much more acute need to get the vaccination rollout happening much faster. They had that big surge over November, December and January, so there was an acute need. Also, a lot of the vaccines that they've been using were manufactured in America, and so the rollout was much swifter and much quicker. And also, I think Thailand at that time was going through a fairly low number of daily cases, like in the sort of the 10s and the 20s, certainly not in the thousands that it is now. And then suddenly the start of April, it was, oh my God, what's going on? And so then there was suddenly a need to get the vaccine rollout happening much faster. So I think that's a pretty good answer. I'm happy with it.
And also, obviously, U.S. Has a much larger population than Thailand, so
330 million.
Exactly, compared to what, like
James, hang in there. We're going to come back in just a moment. We're going to have a quick break, and then we're going to come back and have a talk to you and ask you about the specifics of how I'm going to call it the Samui Sandbox. It's actually called Samui Plus, but we're going to find out from you about how exactly it's going to work. We are on Good Morning Thailand. You're from all over the world, and we're very happy to have you, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Good Morning Thailand, coming to you from Cafe Waya in Phuket. We're doing the show in Phuket at the moment because, well, that's sort of where we are. I came back from travelling to Bangkok about 2 months ago, and then we sort of got stuck here when things started to get a little bit out of hand with the rise of cases. So that's why we're doing the show from Phuket. It is Good Morning Thailand. We speak about things all around the country. We've been speaking about Chiang Mai, we've been crossing to Hua Hin, Bangkok of course, and today we're in Samui with James McManaman from the Poppies Resort. We've got some more questions there, Abel, before we get back to James.
Yes, so before James, I have some funny questions to ask. Okay, let me see. My goodness, I lost it already. I do not remember who it's from, but they were asking, is Tim a employee of the Thaiger or the boss of Thaiger?
Both. I'm an employee and not
Both.
so much the boss. At the moment, the way the company is growing, I've sort of been sidelined into the YouTube project, trying to get our YouTube channel growing. We've got other people that run the Thai Thaiger, which is the Thai language. We've got writers that I sort of oversee writing the English content.
But on your Facebook profile, you put the boss of the Thaiger, yeah?
The boss, yeah.
He's the boss,
I'm
yeah.
a shareholder in the Thaiger, and I am an employee. Very low paid, by the way. Any other questions, or we'll get back to James?
Okay, I will have another question from Steve Shi, SHSI. Is there any ways to stay months after getting to Thailand? Anything like visa runs?
No visa runs at the moment. I think you can get a tourist visa. James might be able to answer this. Question without notice. I think you can come in on a tourist visa with the Sandbox and Samui Plus type projects. And then I think you can extend for another 15 days. James, do you know any more about the visas that people can come in on?
You know, honestly, that hasn't been revealed in detail, so I don't want to speak to that. Sorry.
Okay. Good answer. Well, bad answer, but thanks for giving it a go and being honest. Got another quick question, then we'll get on to the specifics about Samui Plus.
So I have another question. This is specifically, I would think, for James, and I have no idea how to say this name. It's like JCGI Hong Kong or something. How to book hotels for Samui Plus? Question mark. Looks like nothing is finalized yet. Not able to book anything for the 15th.
Where can you find
What
a
do you
list,
say,
James?
Okay, thank you for that question. So ThailandSHA.com is a fabulous website that lists all hotels. ThailandSHA.com. All hotels that are SHA and SHA Plus. You can search in English. There's an English and a Thai side to the site. You can look by province, so Suratthani for Thailand, and you can see for Samui, you can see all the hotels that are accredited with both SHA and Plus. Currently, there's 250 hotels you can book that are SHA, and there are 75 that are SHA Plus.
All right, so tell us what happens, what are the key differences from Samui Plus to Phuket Sandbox, and what are some of the requirements that people will have if they want to come to Samui?
So we're very similar to Phuket in terms of the requirements. A certificate of entry, being vaccinated, having a test 72 hours prior to travel, And then the difference between Phuket and Samui is that for the first day and the first day only, you are restricted to your hotel room.
Not the first 3 days, James?
Well, the first day is the hotel room. And once
Oh.
you get your second test, so you got a test at your point of origin, then you
Okay.
have a test on arrival. When that second test, the one on arrival, comes back clear, then you can use the resort, whatever resort you've chosen. You can use the gym, the spa, the beach, the pool, for the first next 3 days. So after
So I'm sorry to
after-
interrupt. So if you do not receive your results within those 3 days, you are still required to stay at the initial hotel.
And I don't think that that's expected. I do
Okay.
believe that within 24 hours you will receive your results.
Right.
So then for day 2, 3, and 4, you enjoy the resort you've chosen. And from day 5, you can explore from 5 to 7 designated organized trips to some of the
James is breaking up there a little bit. We'll just
Right.
wait for the line to come back. While it does, we'll just go to another one of the questions. Got one here from Thailand e-bike. A question: what will be the requirements for Phuket Sandbox people leaving after 14 days and entering the Samui Sandbox?
Okay.
Well, they would be arriving as domestic travellers. And James, I'm not sure, yeah, we've got you back at the moment. For people, domestic travellers coming to Samui, Koh Phangan and Koh Tao during the Samui rollout, they'll be required to have a PCR test. They can come on the ferry.
From Phuket. This is the question, from Phuket to Samui.
So they'd be going by
Yes, after 4
Ferry.
by ferry from Don
Or-
Sak.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, with a negative test, they can certainly enter after 14 days. In fact, there is some news that possibly in early August, after 7 days in Phuket, you might be able to come to Samui. That is not official, but that's out there.
Okay. Abel.
I have another question. I guess this is relevant for any place that's open, which is Phuket, Samui, Koh Phangan, and Koh Tao. From Jeff 01CA, question is, hotels have been trying to save money the past year because of COVID. I'm going to expect less options from the hotels, like no activities, less food options from hotels. Are pools open? I mean, this is a question. I can answer some of that.
Well, I think pools are open, and look, I think you're going to find with the hotels, they're going to be going out of their way to give you a good experience. I can actually, at this stage, tell you that we're going to be going to the Intercontinental for the next 2 days of Good Morning Thailand, which is right down on Kamala Beach. And hopefully the weather will be okay, but we'll really get a sense of what you're coming to Thailand for, these beaches and the great Thai experience. So I think, hotels are going to really try and make sure they've got all their various activities open.
I can add to that, and then James can add to that too. We were in Khao Lak as a Thai, obviously, just crossing the borders, and we were at the one of the branded hotels. I cannot remember the name now, but they have activities such as they had yoga, they had cooking classes. They were still open to those activities, but there was only 8 rooms occupied out of 260 plus rooms that is available at that time. So they are, just like Tim said, trying their best to make sure that they open everything to everybody.
What's happening at Poppy's Resort,
Yeah,
James?
I think the same thing. When we open, like so many hotels that are getting ready to open, we're currently not open. We will do everything we can to make sure those first impressions are the best they can be. Will there be somewhat limited menu items? Perhaps. It'll be a slow escalation back to normal, but I know that all of the hoteliers will do their best. And I think the beauty of our island anyway is there's so much to do on Samui already. A lot of things are open. There's a lot of activities, many restaurants. We've been very fortunate here. So it's going to be a great experience as people do come back.
Right, we're going to have a quick break. We've got all your comments coming in. Thank you for all the questions. We'll get to as many as we can. We've got James there in Samui, and you're watching Good Morning Thailand. Tim was sad. He had time on his hands, but didn't know where to find the news. But then he remembered. The Thaiger app, all your Thai news and Thaiger videos in one place. Just a single click takes you to a one-stop connection to all the news and information in Thailand. Now Tim is happy. Available free on Apple and Android Hologram not included. Good morning, Thailand is the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm just going to have a quick cough. All better now. Just very quickly, for those people who are wondering how the Phuket Sandbox is going, yesterday another 141 people arrived at Phuket Airport. In total, since the July the 1st, 1,896 people have arrived through Phuket International Airport. About 70% of them have been international travellers. So a slow start, but at least it's a start. We're going to run a bit of vision while you're talking about what's happening around Samui, James. This is some vision that's got some pictures of Samui as it looks in its picturesque beauty, and also a little bit of the reality of the fact that a lot of shops are closed and there's been a certain amount of, well, devastation, I suppose you'd call it. But James, can you just drive us around Samui? Just tell us what the place is like at the moment. James gone on to freeze mode.
Right.
And
he's back.
Oh, he's back. Did you catch the question, James?
I hear you. I did, Tim. Thank you. I will just tell you a bit. You know, we're very grateful that there is so much open. There are so many pockets of places on our little island that are busy, like the Fisherman's Village area, the whole Bon Rock Bay area, restaurants, beach clubs, excursions. There's a lot still happening, even in the south in Lamai. And one of the great things that you're probably going to show on footage is the Elephant Haven. This is a fabulous elephant sanctuary. And you can buy a cake for anybody, anywhere in the world, and they'll feed that cake to the elephants.
A cake?
It's a cake made out of fruit, but it's personalized for a birthday or an anniversary. And that money helps them stockpile the food they need to take care of these amazing elephants. So you can do it online from anywhere in the world, for anybody, anywhere in the world.
Is that healthy for the elephants?
Oh, it's fruit. It's fruit and coconut. It's all natural. It's a natural cake.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's really worth doing.
Okay. That sounds
Okay,
fun.
so this is one of the sort of new look elephant sanctuaries where it's a bit sort of hands off.
Well, you still touch the animals and feed the animals and get to know where they come from, what their history is. Many of them are very old and they had logging histories or circuses. So you'll learn about the elephants. You'll learn about the sanctuary and the haven and how they work, rather than riding or bathing, which are not good things to do. So they really put a lot of effort into making sure that they're giving the elephants, free space to roam, and your contributions or the cakes you can buy really help them feed them.
Okay.
Questions?
Interesting. So I have a question for James from Grammar Officer Krupke. So this is back to the ALQ hotels. For the first 7 days on Samui, don't you have to stay at an ALQ hotel, which is quite expensive? That's the question.
No.
So in the next day or two, all of those rates will be public. The Tourism Authority of Thailand is finalizing that right now. There are currently 9 different properties, about 300 rooms and villas that'll be available, and all that information is coming out as we speak. So I can't quote rates, but I can tell you that it's a wide diversity from inexpensive to more luxurious. So people will have an option.
Where does Poppies sit in that price range? You're sort of mid-range?
Yeah, we're 4.5 stars. We're 25 years old, and I have to say, #1 on TripAdvisor for so many years because we're small. I think people are looking for a bespoke experience, particularly after COVID. Smaller properties, boutique properties, curated experiences because of after COVID, people are a little more cautious. So we feel happy to be positioned in that light.
James, how are people going to get to Samui? The people arriving from overseas, they'll have to come through Bangkok?
There is a transit lounge that has been approved, and there will be 3 Bangkok Air flights per day. It is about 2,400 baht, $75 to fly on Bangkok Air. But I have to say, it is the cutest airport in the world. And
I always call it Disneyland.
Why is that?
I just love it. I love it.
It's a funny, cute little airport.
It sets the tone for an amazing, bespoke, boutique experience, which is what we are as a small island.
It's definitely boutique.
Another question without notice. There's been a lot of talk about a second airport for Samui because Bangkok Airways basically have got the monopoly over the current airport. What's the rumour mill reporting about that?
I would love to share more about that, but I'm going to take the fifth.
Okay, understood. There's talking about a second airport. Okay.
All right,
Abel.
so I have another question here from the viewers from Greg R. So this is a question for Tim. The Thaiger app on the phone does not open that huge screen like yours does on the Thaiger app commercial. Can I get an upgrade?
Yeah, we did a sort of a funny commercial showing me sort of using a virtual hologram screen. Yeah, we're working on that addition. That'll be an optional extra. It'll cost you a fortune. But no, I don't think the hologram is currently available. We're just a bit of whimsy. Abel.
I have another question for you, James. Many questions about hotel pricing. Kevin O and also Gary Tar. Like, how much would it cost per day, for example, for your particular hotel at Poppies? And then how much would it cost maybe for like the 3 stars? Uh-oh.
Oh, James has gone into freeze mode. We'll just we'll get back to you, James. We'll just wait for your connection to sort of get the monkeys to join the bits of wire together. And we'll just go through another couple of questions.
Okay.
We'll get back to you in a sec. Abel?
Ting Tong Farang in Thailand. Question, any news on any rethinking about reopening the Phuket nightlife?
Yeah, well, currently the nightlife and clubs and bars are closed in Phuket. Obviously, the Thai government is keen to get them open, but there's a lot of risk there because that's where people do get together, and this whole current outbreak started in Bangkok. So they haven't even started talking about it, I don't believe, but I'm sure that as soon as they can, they will try and get the bars and clubs open, but expect that there'll be a lot of requirements and restrictions when they do. But you can get a drink in a restaurant in Phuket at the moment.
Yes.
And I imagine this is going to be the current situation in Samui, James, when you reopen.
It is now. You can have a drink now in a restaurant here on Samui. Yes.
Okay,
But
what was
bars are not open, but restaurants you can have, and hotels, of course, you can have a beverage.
Sure.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be going to the bars and the clubs at this time anyways. You really do not want to risk your own health to get COVID, because that's where all the COVIDs usually come from.
Well,
okay.
That's where a lot of the cases did start at the start of April up in Thong Lo in Bangkok.
Okay, another question for James by Omi. How is the diving? Excuse me. How is the diving these days on Samui? Are the dive shops open?
Well, that's the beauty of this Samui Plus program. You'll be able to go to Tao, which is very famous for their great diving and so many dive schools. Of course, we have Samui as well, but it's the diving in this region is fabulous, and the ability to do that kind of thing between days 4 and 7. Between days 4 and 7 really makes it a wonderful holiday. So you can take a charter to Tao and do some diving with folks there. Or there are dive shops here that are planning to open in the week of the 15th.
Okay.
The chairman here says, "Hi GMT, when can you make it up to Nan, Thailand's best kept secret?" Now, okay, Nan, that is up in the north of Thailand. Help me out, team. Up in the north of Thailand. It's sort of near Chiang Mai. Okay, so it indeed, it is one of the, I sort of know about Nan. I know it's very pretty. We would love to come up to Nan, and if you would like to fly us up there and pay for all our staff, we'll be in Nan.
All the equipment also.
Just like that. All the equipment.
Lots of equipment.
And Abel is, she's very high maintenance.
5-star hotel,
and requires
only.
a 5.5-star hotel.
5.5-star.
And she requires Perrier water. And we have to throw rose petals.
You know me so well, Tim.
As she comes in through the door. Very hard work. But we do want to actually travel the show, and if you're a sponsor out there that would like to sponsor the program and get all this exposure to some 20,000 people every day, then good morning Thailand, here we are. What have we got there, Abel?
Okay, so this is from JCGIHK again. Another great question for James. Can you clarify what will be the sealed route within Samui, James?
So the sealed route model is what Samui Plus is. The name is just, morphed over the last couple of weeks. So it's the same thing. One of the cool things about SHA Plus is it's again a great website, but they've encouraged restaurants, massage places for a foot massage or whatever,
taxis,
to everybody to follow the SHA Plus guidelines, which is really because you're balancing commerce and leisure. You want the money, but you want health as well.
Right.
So they've done a great job of helping people understand what procedures they should put in place if they're a restaurant or a boat trip, and that's really great.
All right, questions coming in, and we
So
really
many
appreciate people commenting and sending questions. We're getting through as many as we can today.
Yes, and another reminder: if you would like to ask a question online, please put "question" in caps before your question, so that we can get through them very quickly. So another question by RZA Kalaj: how hard is it to get a 3-month visa?
3-month visa.
3-month visa. So this is not a tourist visa, which is monthly.
Yeah, if you want to come into Thailand under a tourist visa, there are options for you to then upgrade that to a longer stay visa. However, we're not experts in that area, and we would say that you need to discuss that with your embassy before you leave, if that is your intention. Also, you need to get a professional and qualified visa agent to work that out, and they'll do that work on your behalf. So I do believe there are options, even under the Sandbox situation. Usually, and James would know this, if you want to get a longer stay visa, you usually have to leave the country and apply at an overseas embassy before you come back to Thailand. So of course that would cause other problems at the moment. So I think it is doable, and also you need to make sure that you qualify for one of those visas. So that's a discussion with your embassy or a qualified visa agent. Buyer beware.
Okay, so many questions. Thank you so much to Manny, Steve, Broker Bazil. From Manny, Camden. Will Indians be allowed to Thailand in August or September? Because India is a red zone, right?
Yeah, understand that India is still in the red, one of the high-risk countries at the moment. There's low, medium and high risk. Low and medium risk countries are, people from those countries are allowed to apply to come to Thailand. At the moment, red, unfortunately not. And I understand both India and Pakistan and Nepal, there's about 10 or 15 different countries. Most of the African continent are included in that list at the moment. And if you want to find out about those, just type in the Thaiger and low risk, medium risk countries, and you'll get a full article. That list is updated every 2 weeks by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we'll continue to update that particular list.
And shall I go with more questions?
Yeah,
this
go
one is
for
for
it.
James. Grammar Officer Krupke, another one. What will be the cheapest price for a 7-day ALQ stay on Samui? James?
As I mentioned, the actual prices have not been unveiled yet, but they are imminent. Today, I'm sure today or tomorrow, and they've been going through scrutiny and making sure everything is appropriate. So I can't answer that per se, but I can tell you that if you just Google ALSQ Samui, it's about to launch, and you'll be able to see all the pricing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think what happened here in Phuket is there were some packages that were announced, because all the hotels, they're competitive, and they
Right.
want there's not that many tourists coming at the moment, but they want the
Exactly.
ones that are coming to go to their hotels. So they
Right.
are competitive. They're not here to price gouge you. In fact, they're doing entirely the opposite. They want to encourage people to
Prices
come
are very good,
Yeah.
I think.
come back to the islands. And at the moment, it's the islands that they're opening up with these Sandbox type projects. We've also got Krabi and Phang Nga, which is just north of Phuket, opening up sometime in August. Then they're going to try Hua Hin and
Right.
Pattaya. Also, they're trying to get them open in August. Though I still can't figure out how they're going to do a Sandbox type sealed project. Now, on the mainland, it's going to be a much more complex project. But
Right.
I'm sure there's somebody a lot smarter than you and me, Abel, who are trying to figure that out, how to do it.
We're not in the government, so
No.
Right.
we have our limited information as well. So Tim, I have another question from Martin Rincon. How many people work at the Thaiger?
How many people? About half.
About half of a person?
No, about half the people. Half the people. We've got about 7 Thai writers up in Bangkok. We've also got 3 full-time and 1 part-time writers for English content, and most of them are remote. And what else? There's me. We've got Jason and Jay who work for the YouTube channel. We've got the sort of people that float by who are just sort of what we call FOT, Friends of Tiger, like Abel. So it's about, I don't know.
I'm a friend. Thank you so much.
If you pay more, then you can upgrade to very good Friend of Tiger.
Okay.
So then there's sort of other bits and pieces and different contractors, people who do IT from overseas. So I suppose a total of about 15 people. It's not a big company at all. We are batting above our weight. I think that's the way you could say it. But anyway, enough about the Tiger. Any more questions there?
My eyes is starting to, get flustered from all the questions. Thank you so much to all the questions from like Sam, Aero Advocate.
Steve says, stop moving. Does Thailand want to limit cheap tourists? Is that why things are so expensive? I think we've tried to make it quite clear, Steve, that things aren't necessarily that more expensive than they were in the past.
They're not.
And in Samui or Phuket or anywhere that's opening under a Sandbox type situation, there are going to be budget considerations. I think some of the expense really comes in the flights and the number of PCR tests, insurance and things like that. They are obviously adding to the cost. But once you're here, the cost of the restaurants and the hotels really is no more expensive than it was in the past. So it's probably unfair to say that the actual operators on the ground are trying to make things expensive. That's not true at all.
No.
But we do understand that there are some expenses involved with coming to Thailand at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, we live here. I've been here for 15 plus years, and I know how much the hotels, I mean, talking about the 4-star or 5-star hotels, how much they used to cost. And now the prices are, wow, like 40%, 30% less than what it used to. And I do not see any, jack up in prices because of the opening of the Phuket Sandbox. The prices are actually the same. And as I said last Wednesday, many of the hotel packages that are offered for 4.5, 5-star hotels are extended until 2023. So please come.
Sam O says, are hotel prices negotiable at all? Probably not if you're booking through the SHA Plus website. But if you contact James, what's the situation with negotiating?
It's always best to book direct. You get a customized experience, the best possible rate. There's no commissions paid to online travel agents. So your best bet always is to book direct whenever you can.
Broken Basil says, is the Phuket taxi mafia really continuing to justify their relatively high fixed prices? The answer is yes. What's the situation with tuk-tuks and taxis in Samui? I'm not actually up to speed on this situation there. I do know we've had a renowned alleged mafia in Phuket for the last 30 years controlling transport prices.
Alleged.
Give us a bit of alleged news from Samui, James.
I will say that we are not as infamous as Phuket. And there are other options, things like Navigo and Grab, which are clear-cut pricing. But we really don't have the same situation, I feel, as may exist in Phuket.
Maloz says, nice shirt, Tim, but not as nice as the beautiful lady sitting next to you. Oh, sorry.
I'm a lady, yes. I'm not a boy. I'm not a lady boy. I'm not a man, okay? I'm a lady, yes. A lady.
Bangkok hotels in February were super cheap, says Jay. Yeah, indeed. Last year when I was travelling up to Bangkok every week, the hotel prices in Bangkok were very, very cheap. In fact, it was cheaper to stay in a hotel than it was to rent an apartment. And they picked up my underwear and made the bed every day.
Wow, any more details to share, Tim?
No, that's all you're going to
I have a question from Daniel. This is a great question because before I couldn't speak English when I was younger. That's totally another story. Will there be support for tourists who do not speak English and do not know how to use a smartphone? I think that's a very good question.
Well, as far as the smartphone's concerned, I think they're saying that how do the government track you with the More China or Thailand Plus app. I think they have like a wristband for those people to sort of keep track of you. It's not so much keeping track of you. The idea is that if there is somebody who is found to be infected and they are close to where you are, then they can inform you and give you that news. So they're not really trying to track you and find out where you are. The Thai government, be assured, have got a lot more to do than track you. But it's there for your protection. So that's covering the tracking bit, the phone. What was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question is if you have English issues, if you cannot speak English, would there be somebody to help you?
Do you have multilingual speakers at Poppy's?
We do, and I think almost every hotel has designated people that speak Chinese or other languages, and everyone knows who they are, and they're used. And of course, there's so many wonderful translation apps that can be used as well if someone doesn't. So, yeah.
Before all this started, James, the whole COVID pandemic, who were the most frequent visitors from which countries to Samui? We've got a freeze frame again. So just while we're re-establishing that connection, we've got James back. Yep, we've got you back there. Okay. So if you'd like to have an attempt at that answer.
I would say Germany and the UK are probably in the top two as in terms of long-haul travelers to our island. Germans love the sun, and of course there's many others, but the top two, at least in my experience for my property, would be Germany and UK.
All right, so we're just about to say goodbye to you, James, so we'll just let you give a sort of a final farewell and just a bit of an update on what's happening with Samui Plus. You're only 8 days away, so what's your final words?
You know, as president of the Skull International Koh Samui Group, a group of travel and tourism professionals, we launched something called Rediscover Samui. So it's a hashtag Rediscover Samui, and you'll find thousands and thousands of options to learn more about Samui. And you know, there's always the silver lining. This island and our surrounding islands have just never looked better. They're beautiful, they're clean. Everyone is so anxious and enthusiastic to welcome everybody back. So go to Rediscover Samui and come see us.
Okay.
Thank you for the time.
James, thank you very much for joining us, and we might check in with you in a couple of weeks and just see how the early stages of Samui Plus are. We thank you for your time today, and we'll say farewell to you at this stage.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, James.
All the best. Bye-bye.
And just a few quick questions before we go. Abel, what have we got from our many, many questions?
3D Paint Gaming. Is this a lady? Ha, ha, ha. 555 means ha, ha, ha in Thai language. Yes.
Yes.
I am.
Get over it. Move on.
All right, so many questions. Paul R. Oh, actually, they're replying to somebody. I think Tim should pay us for wearing Tiger t-shirts. You guys should send in proof of you wearing Tiger t-shirts, or have they already?
Well, we don't have Tiger t-shirts yet. It is on the list. We're trying to organise it.
Oh, you want to pay for some?
Well, what happened is we've got Jay and Jason and myself, and Jason says he wears XS.
Will I get a free Tiger t-shirt then?
Oh, yeah. You might get one of Jason's XSs. I don't know how he could possibly wrap an XS.
You're not an XS, man. It's going to be like showing every single part of your muscles.
Well, that's what he wants to do. Jay says he wants an XL, and I'm probably an L, and you'd be, I don't know, an XS.
I'm an M in Thailand sizes. I would be an S in the US sizes. Yeah, ladies and men's sizes are different.
So this is the problem. We need to go into H&M or a t-shirt shop and actually buy the t-shirts so they fit. Then we need to go and get them printed. Then we need to see if people like to wear them.
I'm booking one for free.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
Okay.
Any more questions? Oh, here's a quick one from Grammar Officer Krupke. If you own or rent a property, can you go and stay there after the first 7 days on Samui? I believe that you need to stay in SHA Plus registered hotels for your entire stay. But after the first 7 days, I believe, you'll be able to go and stay in an alternative hotel.
Phuket or Samui?
I think both.
Okay. I thought James was saying 3 days after you get your tests.
Well, but you can change to a different hotel.
Okay.
but you have to stay in an SHA plus
Okay.
hotel
Okay.
for your whole stay. So I think the
Okay.
answer is probably no. But again, these are questions that you need to check when they bring out all the final details. I think the TAT have announced the latest details on the Samui, what's it called? Samui Plus. So we'll
Samui
put
Plus.
that link underneath this particular video when we get to it after the program. Samui is completely dead, says Inside Out. Yeah, it's not looking good at the moment. And that's why they need tourists, and that's why Phuket needed tourists. Both Samui and Phuket and all the other Thai islands are very reliant on tourist traffic. So you can imagine the tap is turned off for international tourism. There's a lot of people who have lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, and are suffering.
Yes.
So this is why they're, even with restrictions, are trying to get places open as soon as they can. One more question, then we're going to say goodbye.
Okay, I'm going to say this question with SMR. Actually, it's not a question. It's say hi to the Cafe Waya staff for their food and smiles each day. I think they deserve that.
All right, so we'll do that. We'll say hello and thank you very... Where are the staff? Are the staff around?
They're around.
Oh, they're actually working. Heaven forbid.
They are working.
Thank you to all the people who have dropped into Cafe Waya over the past week and said hello to us, including a couple who have been Sandbox travellers who dropped in to say hello. It was great to have them dropping in and sharing their experiences with us. We had, I can't remember the name, the gentleman yesterday, but he...
Tim, you have too much information going through your heads, man.
And I have a very small brain.
No need to memorize the names.
I can't remember everything. So thank you for watching today too. Now, the next 2 days we are at the Intercontinental in Kamala, which we're right down on the beach. So we hope to be able to have behind us as we talk and speak to our guests the beautiful beach of Kamala behind us. I actually went down there yesterday and a bit of a storm was coming through and it was like a hurricane. So we are in an enclosed area where we can open the doors or not if we choose. But that's where we'll be doing the program for the next 2 days. And then Monday, I'm meant to be in Bangkok, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go there at the moment because of, the situation. But we'll find out. And you're up in Chiang Mai next week.
I probably will be going up to Chiang Mai, expectedly this Friday.
Okay.
We'll see.
So thank you for watching us on Good Morning Thailand. Thank you to Jay and Jason for pushing the buttons, and we'll look forward to your company again tomorrow.